Hello, everybody. My name is Julie Hollinger, and I am the Programs Manager at the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center. Thank you so much for joining us for today's session of Demystifying Your Family's Transition. This is a series that we are doing, and the series is designed for medically releasing Canadian Armed Forces members and their families, as well as people who have medically released. It is information that would be useful to members, but we designed this series with the family member in mind. And what we had heard from a lot of family members is this is a very involved process. And oftentimes they did not feel that they had the opportunity to ask questions. They didn't know who they could go to get the information. Oftentimes there are meetings and there are sessions that their loved one is going through, but sometimes that's happening during work hours and they're not able to join to hear the information firsthand or to ask questions that they want to ask. Oftentimes, if you are a military spouse, I know in my own situation, there's a lot of acronyms that are sometimes make the conversation a little bit more challenging. So this is our opportunity to talk to you about the process without the acronyms as much as we can, and to present you with that opportunity to ask those questions and to get the information that you need for your family's transition. This is part 2 of the video series. Last time, Louise and I spoke with CJ Cote. She is a family liaison officer, and we talked about the mental and emotional effects of going through a transition, why that was difficult for the member, and by extension, why that may cause some issues for the family. That is available as a recording as well, and if you contact Louise, she will be more than happy to provide you with the link to that recording so you won't have missed that information. Today, we're going to be talking about the Veteran Family Program. We have 2 guests joining us, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Louise, why don't you introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you do?
My name's Louise, of course. Julie just said that. And I'm the Veteran Family Program Coordinator with the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center. I'm one of 32 across the country. There is a VFP coordinator with every MFRC. So that's great news for you if you're not staying in this area. You can have support wherever you go. My main role is to help manage your transition in the way that you need me to help. So I've been in the role for a couple of years now, since it went national, and I love it. It's a good program. It's helpful in so many different ways.
Thank you, Louise. Theresa, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Can you introduce yourself and let us know your role in the VFP program?
Yes, so my name's Theresa Roy, and I am at the headquarters office in Ottawa. So that would be Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services. And I look after the operations and development of the Veteran Family Program. I've been with the program. I was here at the beginning of the program doing some finance work, and then I was with a few different departments within CFMWS. And then I came back as manager of the program here. And it's my role to look after the operations across the 32 MFRCs and keep in contact with all the coordinators, see what's going on around the country, what the needs of families are, and just to help when coordinators have issues that, let's see what we can do for families that maybe we haven't been doing, or what can we do differently to keep the program fresh for families, because the needs are changing, the demographics change of what a medical release might look like. So that's what I'm here for.
Thank you. Before we go ahead, Theresa and Louise, and I guess I'll ask this question of Louise. We've been using the word family a lot. I've used it, you've used it, Theresa's used it. And people have, I think sometimes a preconceived notion of what a family is and what the definition of a family is. Before we go any further, can you talk about what is the definition of a family as per the VFP program, and who you support when you say we support family members?
As far as we're concerned within the MFRC, a family is anybody you consider to be your family. The traditional family unit isn't, it's not limited to the traditional family unit. It's limited to people in your circles, not even limited. Whoever you decide is a member of your family is a member of your family, as far as we're concerned.
And they ask the question, if you were married to somebody in the military, they have a medical release, is the program still available to you?
As a divorced ex-military spouse, yes, it is. Yeah. And that's really important because oftentimes as a military spouse who's no longer married, you are not able to access the different services, but through the VFP, the Veteran Family Program, you are still able to access all of the services with respect to if your needs are related to your partner's medical release.
So if a person's not sure, I think the advice I always give to somebody, if you're not sure if you're included, make the call, ask Louise, go through your, tell your story, and we are more than happy to help you however we can and give you the information that we've got. For those people who weren't able to join us last week, can you give us maybe, Louise, the little elevator pitch or sort of the high level summary of why the process can be challenging for families and for military members who are going through the release process? What are sort of the mental and emotional side effects and effects that they feel?
It can be a difficult process for a lot of different reasons, and it's going to be difficult for different families based on where they're at. The military is a culture and a way of life. You know who you are as a soldier in a military family. You're part of a community. You have your own set of mores and your own set of rules and regulations, and you have a role and a purpose. And when you leave that role, sometimes you don't have that anymore, and it can be difficult to move into the unknown. So as a military, like the military lifestyle, as difficult as it can be, also has a lot of, it has a lot of benefits as well. You have a guaranteed wage, you have healthcare benefits. And again, you have that community that understands you. And when something happens, that community really pulls together, right? So, and you may not have that on the civilian side. Things can be difficult, so it can be worrisome. So my job is to help bridge your move from service to post-service life. Again, as I said before, every member and or their family will have different needs and different concerns. So I will meet with the families or the member themselves to have a chat to determine what they need and to help to orient them to our program. And once I know what the concerns are, I can make referrals, I can find resources, and I can help to map the way forward. I can liaise between the transitioning family, between DND, VAC, and the civilian support services and other relevant service providers that they may need and are having problems finding or connecting with. If you're moving to another area, as I said before, I can do a warm handover to the Veteran Family Program Coordinator in that area, and they can orient you to the civilian community in your new home. With the Veteran Family Program, you also do not lose your priority as a military family with your MFRC once your soldier or yourself leaves the CAF, which means that you still have access to all of the services and programs that you had access to before, and you can stay connected to your community in that way as well. So that's a good piece of news.
That is, thank you. Theresa, there are Veteran Family Program coordinators like Louise in MFRCs, 32 MFRCs across the country. From a national perspective, can you talk about why it would be important for someone going through this process to reach out and connect with their VFP coordinator?
I think it's important because, as you said, you're gearing this towards the families. So a good, one of the main benefits is that you're going to speak to someone who is not in uniform. You're going to get the family-friendly lingo. You're going to get someone who's been dealing with families. MFRCs have been around for a very long time and know how to treat a family. And I mean, it could be, your neighbor that's your support system. So they're, it's the everyday person that you're going to meet when you walk in a family-centric environment. You're not walking into a building full of uniforms. That might be a trigger for some. So it has its benefits in that way. And I also feel that some people may say it's repetitive information, but I think some of the information, especially if you're going through something where one person, in the transition is going through, some really high stress levels, repetition is good. You need to hear the information more than once, or you need to have the person with you that can hear it for you and take that information home and repeat it to you again. So I think the more resources you can use that are all aligned is best. So you've got your transition group, you've got the MFRC, you might have OSIS working with you as well. So I think all those pieces together can help. So I think the more that you can get that we work with each other, the better it is. And, you know, if you go into an MFRC and speak to your coordinator, and then you take your last move, you're going to get a warm handover to the next coordinator that has all the same skills, same resources to offer, and, you know, to continue to help you through your transition.
It's you talk about the idea of repetition. I think so often when we are getting so much information, you take a note and you sort of go through it. And oftentimes if it doesn't apply to you, sometimes you sort of file it away and that
Right.
information gets lost. And sometimes it's the repetition later on when that information is more relevant to you in the situation that you're in. All of a sudden, when that comes back to you, you're like, okay, I forgot about that, but I do need it. And
Yeah,
another idea, you don't know what you don't know. So, I mean, sometimes, you know, that different way of looking at it might open up doors that maybe you missed the first time around.
exactly. And I think that's why it's important to make sure that the entire household or your support system knows about the VFP, because it might be something that someone else sees and thinks, oh, that might be something that you might check out, you know, maybe not when you release, but maybe 6 months later, or maybe a year later is something that creeps up, because you could have a great first year out of your release because you're busy maybe learning new skills, going back to school. But when that's over, that's when it might hit that I'm not sure what to do with myself now. I've learned a new skill, but maybe my social skills aren't the best because I'm just used to a small group. Now what do I do? Well, you still have the VFP to return to get resources for that. So I think that makes the VFP really unique in that way.
We talked about 6 months in a year. What's the time limit for that? Like how long after the release can they come back to?
Anytime.
Perfect. So
Anytime to continue helping with the transition, because there's no time limit on what might affect you mentally or physically or the family. So you could have, you know, the CAF member could be sailing along the transition just fine, but maybe the spouse isn't because they might have been the main caretaker. And maybe once the CAF member has fully transitioned, the spouse falls apart because they were under so much stress making sure the CAF member was okay. So it might be time for the spouse or the family, the caregiver, to get the support they need. Could be 2 years later after the release that they might need the support from the veteran family program. So we're there, and it's unlimited.
perfect. Louise, question for you. We've been talking about if someone's moving and they're going to another area that they can reach out to you and you can do the warm handover. Oftentimes people know as they're going through the process, they know that that move is coming. Can a person still deal with you? Can they work with you on some issues, even if they know they're going somewhere else and will be dealing with another VFP coordinator, or should they wait till they get to their new home?
No, they shouldn't wait. The best time to connect with me is as soon as you know that you're going to be releasing. So they should connect with me right away. There are a variety of things that I can do for them. I can do research about the area that they're moving to. I can help to make their move easier. I've done research around, you know, will apartments allow me to have a pet, you know, so I've looked up laws for people. I've helped people to sort out their health cards, moving from one province to another, because it's quite confusing sometimes. The transition is there's a lot of moving parts in this transition. So I can help take a lot of stuff off your plate, little questions that you may have. Hey, Louise, you know, how do I forward my mail without, you know, 6-month delays, things like that. And I can also do a warm handover, like we said before, to the VFP in the area that you're moving to. But instead of giving you the information and having you call them when you get there, I can ask you for a time that would be good for the VFP in your new area to connect with you. So that's another thing that's off your plate. So you get there, you think that it's going to take you a couple of months to get your household in order and everything. And then the VFP in the new area will call you and say, you know, hi, this is who I am. This is what we can do. Do you want to meet? You know, those types of things. So there's a lot of different ways I can help someone who's not staying in the area while they're still here.
Because a number of military families, they've been through moves. Like we've done this before. We've put our stuff in boxes. We put our stuff in a truck. But it's very different when it is your last move and you're going there to a new life versus going in as a posting and then sort of joining another military community on the other side. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you've answered this question before, so maybe you can save somebody some research because it's going to be a quick answer versus saving you some phone calls and a little bit of chasing around. Theresa, when we started off, you talked about the fact that you've been with the VFP for a while in different capacities. So you've seen how the program has grown and how it's changed since its inception. Can you talk to us a little bit about where the program started, some of the changes that have happened, and how families are benefiting from those changes?
Sure. So the program started as a trial. So it's fully funded by Veterans Affairs Canada. And it started as a trial in 7 locations. It was doing so well that they decided, let's roll it out into all 32. And that it's still in its infancy, even 3 years later, I believe. But it's growing now. I think now we feel that we have, we're not 32 individual centers. We are, but we're not. So when I say that, I mean, yes, every MFRC operates on its own, in its own way, but I feel that probably since about November, December, January, we've brought the 32 coordinators together more as a team. So they are more cohesive in bouncing ideas off each other, sharing information, ensuring that we know what's happening around the country, because as families move, the different issues move with them. So just to be able to bring that piece together, I think is helping us help families better. We know what they're looking for. We know the different issues walking in the door. And if we're more aware here at headquarters, then we can offer better programming for the families. We've also opened up the ability for the MFRCs to do some local programming for the Veteran Family Program. So that allows someone like Louise to say, hey, all my people are asking for this. Can I go for it? And with a proposal from her and some work back and forth, then that allows that to happen. And when we see that happen and we see that it works well, then we can offer that to the rest of the country and say, look, this is what Louise did. It worked great. If you think this will work in your area, you can go ahead and do it following these parameters, because we know it already works that way. So we feel that's going to add a lot of benefit for families, because we're catching little pockets of what's needed in different areas. But in truth, more people need it. We're just starting to hear about it. So we're actually gathering a lot of information from the coordinators now. And
So go ahead.
And that maybe wasn't happening before. But I think now that we're working as a team of 32, which that's a lot of people, we're really starting to gather ideas and get some balls rolling. So it's quite helpful.
But there are some consistent programs that go across the 32.
Yes. So we do have our national programs. So we have mental health first aid, and we have COPE, which is couples overcoming PTSD every day. And what else do we have?
And you have the binder.
Yes, we do have the binder, and I actually have mine. It's really heavy because I actually have it stuffed right now.
Me
so you
too.
can see it's really stuffed with stuff, which is amazing. We're in the process of maybe revamping what's inside, but not taking away the physical binder, so that people can, it's an awesome, like, it can hold a lot of stuff. It's like a mini suitcase, and it's amazing. It's an amazing resource. Louise is probably like the biggest fan, I think, which is fine. But it has a lot of resources inside. It's kind of like your workbook to life, to transition life, for both the member and the family or whoever is supporting them. We're looking at revamping some of the information inside to make it a little more, this is for the family, this is for the member themselves. And it's an awesome spot to hold everything you need. You take it with you to see Louise, you take it with you to see your case manager, you take it to your doctor's office, you take it wherever you're going that has something to do with your transition. And it's helpful because you have everything in there that you need. Louise can show you how to organize it like no other. She loves the binder.
Love the binder.
In
She
2
loves the binders.
Louise is going to be doing a workshop, and what she's going to be doing is she's going to be giving a tour of the binder. So she's going
Awesome.
to be going through, opening it up, explaining each of the sections, and giving some of her suggestions about how you can use the binder more effectively. So if the binder is something that's intriguing you, email Louise. She'll send you the details for that session so you can get the recording. But the binder is one of those tools, and I think like a lot of the VFP programs, the earlier you get it, the better you can use it, the more effective it is. So if you're waiting until after you've released, or you're waiting until after this has happened, don't do that. Call Louise earlier and we can sort of get you started with that. Louise, if someone wants to take advantage of the VFP program, they do have to get involved and register with you. And often when we say the word intake, it kind of scares people a little bit. Can you talk a little bit what the intake process is? How long does it take? And can someone start accessing services right away?
It is not an intrusive process. It is, I'm collecting basic information, your name, your address, the last 3 of your service number, some contact information, and really that's about as intrusive as I get. You can tell me what you need to tell me, what you're comfortable sharing with me. I understand that sometimes intakes can be very, very intrusive, lots of personal information being requested and things like that. I don't need that. I just need to put basic information down. It goes into a database. I need your permission to put it into the database, and then we can talk at that time, or we can schedule another meeting when you might have more time to discuss what your needs are. It really is a very innocuous intake process.
So you don't have to apply and then wait like a couple of weeks to get help.
No. As soon as I get, well, as soon as you talk to me and indicate that you want information, I can start helping. Yeah, I just have to put it in my database, and there we go from there.
I have a question for Theresa. We've been talking about family members and how family members can benefit from the VFP program. If I am the spouse or the family member of a medically releasing member, and I want to get assistance from Louise or from one of the VFP coordinators across the country, do I have to go through my partner through the CF member in order to access the service? Or is that something that you can do sort of anonymously or on a more confidential basis?
Yeah, you have free reign to go on your own. So, and that's what we're really trying to encourage starting this year, just to make it more family friendly. If you need services, you do not have to go through the CAF member. The CAF member doesn't need to know. You can go in anonymously. We don't expect, so if a youth needs something, we don't expect them to walk into an MFRC and have to say, oh, my mom or my dad, this, that, and the other thing. We want people to be able to go in and get the assistance they need and not have to tell a story to the receptionist and then tell the story to someone else. They should be able to go in and say, I would like to see the VFP coordinator, and then tell the story there. So yeah, it's completely anonymous, and that's why we're starting to target families more, so that you can go in and say, you know what, my spouse is medically releasing and he's having an easy time, I'm having a tough time, because it's not always equal. You know, even if it's PTSD, you know, they might be dealing with it well, the member, because they're getting maybe psychiatric support or other types of support through the military while they're releasing, but the family member is not. So they might need to start looking elsewhere for support, and they don't need to disclose that to anybody, but the services are there to find that support for them.
Perfect, thank you. Louise, can you, the program is for, like we said, for the family members as well. Can you talk about what services are available for the family members? What are the programs that they can take advantage of, and what can you do specifically?
With respect to MFRC programming, they still have access to everything. So if they're accessing mental health supports, that it's a seamless transition. They can continue to see their psychologist or their social worker. And with respect to any other thing, again, it's enhanced information and referral services. I can meet with them to determine what they need. Theresa talked about mostly talked about what I was going to talk about here, but we have a lot of different programs. The mental health first aid for the veteran community is a really, really good 2-day program that people who are working or supporting or living with someone who has a PTSD or OSI, they can learn ways of talking to helping to de-escalate, you know, things like that. It's very, very important to have those tools in your toolbox. We also have an operational stress injury resource for caregivers, which is an online learning piece. You can do it at your own pace. It's through the Mental Health Commission of Canada. So and the Royal and us. So it's very well documented. It's good learning. It's proven, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. And again, my veteran family journal, which is not just for the military member, there's a section for the family, and I can't say enough about the journal. I'm really excited for it. It helps you to organize your move. I get a lot of, there's a lot of interest in that one resource. So
So if someone's interested in the mental health first aid, obviously it's a 2-day course, and right now it's a little bit more challenging to offer anything in person for any amount of time. So if someone's interested in that, can they call you and sort of put their name down and have you give them a call when we're ready to go with that again?
They absolutely can. And what the Mental Health Commission has done is they have a 2-hour kind of mini session for that. So if anybody's interested in learning a little bit more, they can just give me a shout, send me an email, and I'll send them the link because it's free. So it's a good resource. That's also a good resource to have. And it just kind of gives you a little bit of information on how to really, this one is more how to take care of yourself than how to and how to manage in these trying times. So it's a good piece of information for people to have as well.
And if nothing else, we're all getting very, very used to following courses and following sessions online. In case you're looking for another reason to be on your computer, this is it.
Yeah.
Louise, what's the best way to contact you? Is it just email? Is that the quickest and easiest way?
It is the quickest and easiest. I'm on my computer from 8 in the morning till 4 at night, and I have my emails always up. So it's the best way. Yeah.
Theresa, if somebody is watching and they are not in the Petawawa area, they can call Louise and they can do that transition. But what are the best ways to reach the VFP overall nationally if you're not sure exactly who to get to?
So the best way would be to contact our family information line because it's 24/7 access. So they can call the family information line at 1-800-866-4546. And because of COVID right now, and a lot of the coordinators having alternative email addresses from working at home, the family information line has that list. So they can connect them with somebody in their area pretty quickly.
And for those people who maybe are not familiar with the website, if you go to CAF Connection, cafconnection.ca, you can pivot from one MFRC to the other just by going to the top bar. It says national. If you click on that, there's a drop down menu and you can pick, you can see the list of all the MFRCs across the country. You can pick one that's close to you. And if you go in there, there will be a listing for how to contact the MFRC and they'd be able to hook you up with the VFP coordinator. So if you're not familiar with the CAF Connection site, it is the site that is used by the MFRCs across the country, and you can go from one place to another by using that top toolbar. Because I have you both on the line, and I am a firm believer of not letting go of expertise without taking full advantage of it. You've worked in this program for a long time, and you've spoken with a lot of family members. You spoke with a lot of transitioning members. If someone was to come to you and say, what's your best advice for someone going through this process? What's your best advice, Theresa?
I would say keep in touch with your coordinator. They have a wealth of information. There's some things that I never thought of that Louise said today, like, they can help you get your health card when you're moving. It's a lot of the little things. They're kind of like your life partner for your transition. It sounds silly, but it's true because there's so many things that you can be worried about at home that anything that they can take off your plate, it's like being the world's best admin assistant. Anything you can take off the plate of your CEO or executive director helps them do their job. So anything that the VFP can take off your plate so that you can look after that family member that might be having a really hard time, that's partly what the VFP can do for you. And it's individualized service. So not every family needs the same thing. Some might just need a push in the right direction. Some might need a pull in the right direction, and some might need everything. It's a place to belong. It's a way to stay connected to the community when you need it, because transition, especially medical release, you're being told to leave. You're not leaving because you want to. You're being booted out because some, you know, whether it's mental or physical injury, you're being told that you can't work anymore. That's tough to deal with. So use the resource that VAC has additionally given you and that we put in place, that's in an easy spot to access it. And like Louise said, it's instant. You're not waiting months to speak to somebody. You're not waiting, you know, weeks. You're maybe waiting a couple days at most, and if not, you're on the phone same day. So use it.
Thank you. Louise, what about you?
As soon as a family knows that they're going to release, contact me. The earlier in the process you contact me, the more support I can provide, and the more concerns I can help you to lay to rest. I used to be in employment services, so I've helped members who had physical injuries and wanted to do a second career. I helped them to look at careers that they could do based on what their injuries are, and they would go back to their nurse case manager and say, I would like to do this, and then the nurse case manager would say, well, I don't think that it's viable because it will impact your injury this way. So I went back onto the sites and I did research on what the physical constraints and demands of that particular job were. So I helped them to determine what the best path moving forward would be for them in order to have the least impact on their injury and have a gainful employment. I can read your resume and then I can refer you to our employment services. They have a wealth of different programs that they can access to help you move forward as well. Sometimes the member can't work anymore and the spouse has to step up. So we can look at working through that piece. But just my best advice, I guess, the short answer would be, don't wait, just connect as soon as you can. I can make connections to different organizations. I can call VAC on your behalf. I can connect with the transition center on your behalf, the nurse case managers with your permission, you know, those types of things. So the sooner the better.
I'm in no way an expert, but I mean, I work with Louise on and off, and I think that one of the things that I've heard from her and from the other folks that work in the VFP, there's a lot of people that are involved in the transition process, and there's a lot of people you talk to, and I think often people are afraid to reach out and make the telephone call because they're not sure they're calling the right person.
There's no wrong door.
There's no wrong door. So if you're not entirely sure if you're talking to the right person, call Louise anyway. Even if it is somebody else who can help you more effectively, she's going to help you with that transition. And she would much rather have you call her and make that referral than have you not get the supports that are available to you.
Absolutely.
Am I putting words in your mouth or?
No, it's really important. Like I said, there is no wrong door, and I am never going to say to anybody, I have all the answers, but chances are I know somebody who has the answer to the question if I don't. So, and that's a good thing too, because there's nothing worse than calling 5 people and having to tell your story 5 different times. So if you don't know where to go, give me a shout. I will find out, and then you only have to speak to one other person.
Perfect. Before we go, are there any other resources that you'd like to share? Any telephone numbers, any email addresses you'd like to put out there, Theresa?
I would just say, yeah, check out CAF Connection, check out your local area, because there's other information, you know, including via, you haven't been there, check it out. And also just make sure you keep up with your, you know, anywhere you might be going, check out their local MFRC Facebook page. There's always loads of information. I'm sure maybe everyone on here probably got this invite by the Facebook page. So I think it's a great place to go. And yeah, just keep in with the community and keep up with what's happening with your MFRC.
Perfect. Louise?
And I would say, I would just parrot what Theresa said. She, you know, family information line is really important because they will connect us, and they have a lot of resources as well.
And for those of you who are in the Petawawa area or just somewhere else and interested, Louise has recently started a newsletter for her VFP clients. So that is a quarterly newsletter that's going to come out, just talking about latest information, maybe interesting articles. So if you are interested in getting on that mailing list, hook up with Louise and we can make sure to add you. Thank you all so much for joining us today. If you have any questions after this session, please feel free to reach out to us. We would be more than happy to provide you with any information that you would need with your transition, hook you in the right direction. There are no questions that shouldn't be asked. And there is no reason not to reach out. We are all more than willing to help you with this transition however we can. Thank you again. Enjoy your day. And VFP is here for you.